tons of little spots for that to occur throughout the run. So we'll definitely, that's one thing I'll probably be watching out for. I mean, I guess it's not one thing, it's a lot of little things, but that's kind of like one of the general things that I'm looking out for. All right, so it looks like we're underway here. Let's go.
All right, so the run starts off with Zelda talking to me for 27 seconds, saying that she's been kidnapped. Well, her and the 6 other maidens have been kidnapped, and we have to rescue all of them, which is the objective of the game. And I guess like one of the first things that A Link to the Past runners talk about is pumping, and I'm not really too good at explaining that.
Yeah, we don't have to go too deep into it at all. It's a very, very small movement optimization technique. It really only saves about 10 seconds over the course of the entire run. But if you see the runners kind of wiggling and like rocking back and forth a little bit in places, that's because they're trying to pump, and basically all they're doing is just trying to boost themselves along and get some better pixels of movement. Just makes them move a little bit faster. Again, it's just a minor thing, but it's one of the few actual movement things we even bother talking about in Escape. So it's like we're relatively even going into the castle here.
Okay, both these guys got a good hallway. Sometimes one of those green soldiers can get in your way, and there's not really much you can do about it.
So something interesting actually related to pumping is that g3rd0 actually got into this game because he saw the VOD of Cypher's AGDQ 2013 run, and he actually did find the explanation of pumping interesting. And if you really want to get into the science of it and how it works, you can see the command there that g3rd0 dropped in the chat, and also we have a wiki that details all that kind of science and stuff, and it is really cool stuff to kind of nerd out on a little bit. I definitely enjoy it. I know it can be maybe a bit boring to listen to, though, for some other people, since we are talking about frames, mere fractions of a second. So, all right, so we're gonna come up on the first kind of major point of escape here, is the ball and chain fight. Got two slightly different approaches. g3rd0 going for the pot and 4/, and Eriror looked like he did the 8/ strat, but they both got relatively similar key grabs. Looks like g3rd0 is just a small amount ahead of Eriror at this point.
And they pick up the lamp here because it's faster. There's 2 other places where you can get the lamp, but this one's the fastest place.
Yeah, I'm sure game audio will be coming soon. I'm sure somebody's working on that. But Bunny Music is probably one of the best tracks in this game, so hopefully you enjoyed that.
So you can see on g3rd0's input display. Oh, there's a sound. You can see on g3rd0's input display on the top there is the series of D-pad mashing for pumping.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's kind of cool that you can see g3rd0's input display up there in the top left and kind of see what's going on in each of these rooms and how he's actually making Link move the way that he is. So rolling into the throne room here, black screen at 4:20. That's a pretty decent time for escape. It's kind of one of the main points that runners tend to look at to check their time and see what kind of pace they're on if you care about escape times at all. And in the grand scheme of this run, escape really isn't a major factor. You can lose, a good amount of time here and still be able to make it up pretty easily later on in the run.
Ooh, that was nice. That's very nice
Yeah.
for both of them.
Very, very friendly snakes. This is kind of some of the small RNG that can actually be mitigated to some degree by the runners. You know, they do have a boomerang at their disposal. They have a sword, and then, you know, they obviously have, you know, the jukes. You know, if they've got the sweet moves and the reaction times, and that's going to help you get through this back half of escape a little bit cleaner. This is the next source of like RNG that you can't really do much about. Where this key rat actually ends up. Looks like both runners got relatively decent RNG. The worst one you can get is if that key rat goes up into the far northwest corner of the room, which can lose you a little bit of time. All right, so looks like g3rd0's rolling out. It's a 552 escape. Eriror right
And
behind
555.
5, yeah. So just 3 seconds separating the runners here. Again, not a big difference at all. I expect most of them to be grabbing the same cart here. I would, I expect both of them. I would expect most people in the group stage to definitely be grabbing the sanctuary heart here. Obviously gives you an extra heart container. So that's can be very important throughout the run, especially once you get into the dark world where things start hitting a little bit harder.
Yeah, technically it's not required to beat the game, but it's definitely, well, yeah, technically it's faster, but it's definitely not recommended for a lot of people.
Alright, so now that we get to see some overworld that you wouldn't otherwise see in this particular category, because this category does not allow you to use save and quit to jump around the overworld. If it did, we would probably save and quit after the sanctuary there and go to Link's house and walk to Eastern from there, since that would be a little bit faster. There is a category that does allow save and quit, and that's, you know, that can be a fun and challenging category to run in its own right, but this particular category is no major glitches, and it does not allow save and quit. So something.
You also don't.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
So I was just going to say about this guard coming up here. If you keep Link low on the screen here, it makes sure that this blue guard right here that was just walked past doesn't actually spawn on the screen until later, allowing you to just walk directly past him instead of having to boomerang him or slash him out of the way or something. So as long as you keep Link low on that screen before you get to those stairs, he'll spawn late and you'll be able to do that.
In a couple rooms from now, you're going to see a really cool strat.
Yeah, kind of like one of the first speed tricks in this run. If you want to explain it, go right ahead, dude.
So normally there's 4 Stalfos that appears in this room, but with certain movement in that room, you can kill 2 skeletons without having to spawn the other 2. Their hitboxes are still there, so you can just know exactly where the 2 Stalfos that you need to kill are, and just throw 2 pots at both of them.
Yep, exactly. Looks like g3rd0 ended up with a red drop already, so he's sitting at a nice 21 rupees. The rupee route for this requires that we get 110 at least before we get to the Palace of Darkness, because we have to pay Kiki the monkey to actually get in there. So I would expect both of these runners. Actually, you know, I'm pretty sure g3rd0 does tree rupees, but I think Eriror may actually take Saha rupees. The difference in between those two things are actually really small in terms of time. You know, we're talking like anywhere from 3 to 6 seconds, something like that. So we will be keeping an eye on the rupee counts because it kind of can affect things a little bit later on in the run.
Yeah, it's about 6 seconds if you can do tree rupees really well. But of course, that's nothing too major.
All right, coming up on the Gifted with Greenies room, named after a strat that is not often done in runs by people these days, but is still a really cool looking strat in its own right. But we saw runners just taking the more basic approach, easy and consistent approach to that room. Eriror still sitting at 0 rupees, which again, that's not going to be an issue if he grabs the rupee chest behind Saha, but if he does true rupees, he's going to be looking to get a few more drops hopefully here. That's another RNG fest, and now we're pretty much tied going into the double Igor room here.
Error's looking really good on arrows.
Yeah, both have good arrow
drop.
Yeah. Starting the Armos fight pretty much at the exact same time.
Oh.
Oh no,
oh man,
just
okay.
Got nudged a little bit there, so he's not going to be able to get the quick kill, which is going to give g3rd0 a little bit of a lead, but Eriror cleans it up pretty well. And both these guys are going to be heading over to Saha to get the boots.
Yeah, if you do that setup just right, you can kill all the Armos without that last one turning red. And when the Armos turns red, then he gains all of his health back. But still pretty close. There's still some time. That time can still be made up elsewhere. Oh,
absolutely. And we're going to see one of those potential spots coming up here in the boss of the next dungeon, which is Landmolus. A very RNG heavy fight.
Okay.
Takes a lot of takes a lot of skill to mitigate the RNG of that fight. So, yeah, that can definitely be a potential point where the lead is swayed one way or the other. Yep, you're right. Looks like both are going to go for true rupees.
Alright, so this is a trick exclusive to the JP 1.0 version, where you can spin speed. You press the dash button a frame after you spin attack, and then it puts Link in this really weird state. And so if you go upstairs, then Link just goes really fast.
Yeah, Link moves around at his normal dashing speed, which is quite a bit faster than what he averages when he's walking. So it's a small trick that saves, like with the spin dash itself, you're looking at anywhere from like 10 to 15 seconds. But once you start throwing in like hook speeds and quake dashes and stuff like that, you start to save a little bit more time. But another one of those minor tricks that uses a minor glitch throughout the run just to save a little bit of time here and there.
Yeah, so notice they didn't spin speed on the way to the library, but they're doing it on the way back. This saves about like maybe half a second if you can do it right.
Yeah, the one on the way to the library is about half a second, for myself personally anyway. The one leaving the library is a little bit over that. I would want to say something like 40 frames, maybe a little bit more. So it can be a little bit more worth it. And the thing about the one leaving the library is that the movement afterwards is much easier to execute than going to the library itself, because Link can be a little bit difficult to control when you are just moving around at that dashing speed, and you can change directions and everything. So your movement has to be really clean to consistently save time with it. Alright, so we'll get a pretty good idea of what their time difference is on the desert entrance here. Looks like 1347 for g3rd0. Looks like Eriror is going to be rolling there at 55, so about 8 seconds apart right now with these guys, and that can be made up in probably one Landmo cycle difference. So again, the boss fight of this dungeon is definitely going to be the point to watch out for.
This dungeon definitely demonstrates how useful dashing is.
Yeah, people tend to refer to this dungeon as like the dash school, or like the dash tutorial, basically, because that's basically all you're doing between these rooms. Just getting used to the boots, breaking them in.
this cannonball room is random. You can usually tell what you're gonna get from this hallway that grows in. Or no, it's yeah, this room right here.
So supposedly that actually doesn't have anything to do with it. It's actually determined based on when you actually enter that room. So the sound you hear only has to do with one of the left cannonballs anyway. So unfortunately, you can't really predict ahead of time what pattern you're going to get. But the good news is that there are only like 32 patterns, and they basically fall into like one of two categories. So it's just about understanding which RNG you're getting and recognizing it and reacting to it appropriately. Yeah, that was I think Eriror grabbed. I didn't see if he grabbed it in the circle of pots in here in desert. I'm assuming he did. I think he grabbed a blue rupee in there, or maybe he got a drop somewhere else, but he had nothing before that. So yeah, by this point you're wanting to have probably at least 4 rupees is the absolute minimum that you want to have if you're doing tree rupees, because you need to get 4 blue rupees from a tree to get to 24, and then 4 red to get to 104, and then you get 6 more in Agatara, which brings you to 110. Oh, and there goes a red drop that he just went past because he likes to go fast. He didn't want to waste any time, and also that door is probably a slight vacuum door, so it probably pulled him in a little bit. But yeah, here comes the Landmo fight. So we'll try to be tracking the cycles.
Eriror picked up a safety arrow pot so that he can have more rupees later, or arrows later.
Yeah, that's a good call, especially if this fight goes a little more poorly than you want. g3rd0 with a pretty nice start here. He's already killed 1 worm. He killed the second one in the second phase. Looks like this can be a 3 cycle. I'm not sure how much damage he has yet. Nice cleanup. Good 3 cycle out of g3rd0. Eriror on his second cycle here, it looks like. Third. Oh man, he almost got a late 3 there. I think he only needs 1 more poke on this guy. Yeah, nicely done. So
okay, there we go.
One thing about the Landmo fight is you kind of want to track the damage that you have on each worm, because if you kill 2 worms early on, that's great, but if you have 0 hits on the last worm that's remaining, it can be pretty tough to finish out the fight, because that's the point at which they start shooting out the rocks from 8 different directions outwards. So yeah, you don't want to get to that point. You want to make sure you spread your damage out and finish them all off as quickly as possible.
So here's another JP 1.0 exclusive trick, which is fake flippers. When you jump in the water and you screen transition on the next frame, then you can the game gives you flippers so you can swim, but the problem with that is if you get hits, then you soft lock the game and you're forced to save and quit, which is not fun to do.
Yeah, that can be a pretty bad time loss. Obviously, it would invalidate your run for the leaderboards, but for the purposes of the tournament, if you do get hit during fake flippers and end up getting to that soft lock state, we do allow runners to save and quit out of that back to Link's house for the group stage.
Yeah, it's a semi-risky trick to do, but I mean, it's nothing terribly difficult.
No, not it's not bad at all considering the bush setup for it. But the alternative is just running up, like on the west side of Hyrule Castle and going up that way, which it's only about 6 or 7 seconds slower, and has
and there's some lag.
Has one of the coolest. Way. Well, yeah, and that's what the West Side Breeze strat is named after, is reducing the lag on that screen, because it can be really bad going that way.
Ooh, okay. Death Mountain can be mean. Either the boulders and the dead rocks can be really not nice. So, but g3rd0 got a really decent Death Mountain luck.
Yeah, anytime you're rolling into this second part of Upper Death Mountain here, with, you know, say more than 2 hearts, you're pretty happy, honestly. Because as you said, you know, Death Mountain can be quite the troll. It's complete RNG how those boulders and squirrels are going to move. So, but heading into Hera now, Hera is definitely a potential pain point for a lot of runners, pretty much of any skill level. The enemy movements here are quite random, especially the mini Moldorms and then Moldorm himself. So can definitely be a potential turnaround point for this race. And it also has one of the cooler tricks we're going to see used throughout this run, which is the bomb jump. So if you would like to explain the Hera bomb jump, MJ?
I'm not very good at explaining that.
So the way that works is basically what we're going to attempt to do is boost ourselves over a pit by using a bomb. And in order to do that, Link has to be in a range of anywhere from 2 to 6 pixels away from the pit. If he's anywhere from 6 to 2 away from it, or 6 to 3 I should actually say, then what you need to do is actually bonk against one of the walls, which actually will boost you a little bit further over this gap that we're going to come up to get over to the Moon Pearl. If you actually manage to get 2 pixels away from the edge, you don't actually need to do the bonk. You can just stand there and the bomb will actually shoot you far enough over that gap to get to it. So it's a minor glitch that we kind of use to make the dungeon a little bit faster, because normally you would have to go to the room above the Moon Pearl and fall into it from above. So we're going to see g3rd0 doing this aforementioned bomb jump right here. Oh, he hit the switch.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, he's gonna fix that. Oh, he's going to do a really cool variation, actually,
nice.
of the bomb jump that was recently found. It uses a spin attack, and you actually, it's a little bit scary, especially here in Hera, but you basically hold out your sword as it's charged and walk at the edge of the ledge and wait until Link starts slipping, and then once you start holding back away from the ledge, he'll release a spin. Looks like Eriror is going to do the same thing here.
Oh, man.
And by doing that, it actually puts Link on the first pixel available away from the edge. So it puts you into that position to where you don't actually need to move to get the boost over. So very nicely executed by both those guys, especially for
that was a good Moldorm fight.
Relatively new trick. Yeah, that was an excellent Moldorm fight. Looks like he got through that quickly, no falls. Moldorm was actually not a huge troll for him, so...
Okay, let's see for air.
Ooh, the risky north-south dashes. I'm not personally a fan of these. I know...
Oh, no!
That could be one reason why. Yeah, just when you're dashing north and south, it seems like when Moldorm hits you, he just launches you, more so than if you get hit moving left to right. And there's also just... you know, less room to work with. I mean, you have more chance of falling off to the left or the right than you do up and down. So yeah, that can be pretty risky, as we just saw there. So second try though, we'll see if we can get him taken down this time. And he always seems to do that, doesn't he? He'll knock you off once, and then like when you go back upstairs, he'll just be sitting there waiting for you to jump off.
Yeah, sometimes he likes to camp out at the ledge, and it gets really frustrating.
Man,
he did get the safety switch, so he has a lot of hearts to work with, but yeah, still, that is a very significant time loss.
Yeah, really solid decision though to hit that safety switch, because you never really know what Moldorm's going to do, and you can get into a loop like this, and dying here is actually really quite bad. Like, as bad as like getting knocked off over and over is, having to actually go through the entire dungeon again is far worse. So let's cheer on Eriror here as he goes for another attempt on Moldorm. I know he can do it. I know he can beat this jerk.
Yeah, meanwhile, g3rd0 got the Master Sword, so now his sword is going to be stronger. He's going to do more damage, and that's going to be useful coming into his next dungeon, known as Castle Dungeon, but we refer to as Aghanim's Tower.
And more importantly, he can start using sword beams. I didn't actually see which enemies he killed. Looks like Eriror finally cleaned up Moldorm there.
Yeah, there we go. Nice.
Out of Hera. But g3rd0 now is finishing up the rupee route, which includes killing 4 enemies after pulling a tree and not taking any damage during it. So he's going to come up on another tree here and pull it and hopefully get some red rupees out of it. There we go.
There you go.
So now he has all the rupees he will need for the rest of the run up until the point he gets to the village of outcasts. So
yeah, so this is yeah, the rest of the rupees that he needs, he will be getting automatically. So it's not that it's not a problem at all. Oh.
Oh no.
Oh man.
So g3rd0 really wanted to maintain his sword beams there for Aga Tower coming up because he wants them for a particular strat or two in the tower that are a little bit faster than the normal ones. So he was trying to farm a heart there. He got one and then ended up getting hit again. So net loss there, it looked like, unfortunately. And he's going to have to serve up some din-din, is what we call this backup strat coming up on these gold knights here. Meanwhile, Eriror is going through Lost Woods. Hopefully not going to take any damage so he can finish up his rupee routing as well. Oh no, he got hit by the bird.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's if you dashing in Lost Woods is really tough. You have a bunch of really small, precise dashes that you have to be really good at, and if you don't cancel one of them well or restart one on time, then you may have a bad time. Did you say something about? Did g3rd0 get a fairy in the second?
No, he got enemy drop a heart, but there's no fairy. So.
Okay, that is significant though, because since he's actually moved along in that prize pack now, he could potentially get a fairy drop on the Helma Bridge on the hammer jump in Palace of Darkness, which could affect him later on down the road in Turtle Rock. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, he might just have to hope that he doesn't take too much damage in Turtle Rock later.
Nice key dash there by g3rd0.
Okay, Eriror's going for the magic powder later on.
Oh, he did grab mushroom. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, powder is a really good safety.
Okay, so he got blue rupee, so he's gonna have to go for a backup tree rupee route.
Yeah, I don't blame anyone at all for taking powder, especially in a race.
Yeah, it's about it's 40-second detour, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it'll pay off later.
Yeah, it can be well worth it. You know, you can always powder in any fairy or bunny beams, and those are pretty much all over the place in Dark World. So, staying alive, the name of the game. Eriror hopefully has killed enough enemies here. He's going to pull this backup tree in the courtyard. Hopefully, get some reds out of it. There we go.
This game's very tough. So any safety that you can get that isn't too far out of the way is usually really good.
Now he is at 103. He's going to get 6 naturally in Circle of Pots, which is going to leave him 1 short. So
there's a blue rupee pot they can get in one of the rooms.
Yeah, the dark bridge there. But g3rd0 is rolling into the
let's count the blue balls for g3rd0
here. Yeah, this is one of the main RNG sources of the run here, which can definitely swing this race one way or the other. So we'll see what kind of coin flips he gets here. Here's the first one, and that's a blue ball. So these are 50-50s here. The next, this attack, and then the next one after it is going to be a coin flip as to whether he gets an energy or a blue ball.
Oh, error fairy. Okay, that's 2 for g3rd0.
Yeah, for Eri, it doesn't matter as much since he is going to get powder, maintaining that prize pack. But it's still kind of a nice thing to have, even if you do have powder. Alright, so here's a chance at a blue ball. It's the energy.
3.
One, so 3 at best. It's not going to be 3. So getting 3 is significant because now he's going to get an extra lightning attack, which is about another 6 seconds time loss that you just can't do anything about. So meanwhile,
this gives Eri a
Eriror,
chance to catch up.
Yeah, exactly. Eri is slowly ascending the tower. Actually, I should say quickly ascending the tower.
5.
Making pretty good progress through here.
Oh man. Okay, 5.
We stopped at 5. So that's definitely worse than average, but still not too bad. Getting 7 would get you to that extra lightning cycle again. So that's really the number you don't want to get to. But yeah, g3rd0 finally out of the light world now, going to be making his way into the dark world, which is where the run really picks up. Eriror going to the circle of pots here, one of the more difficult rooms in Agus Tower. This entire tower is actually pretty difficult. There are a lot of little strats in these rooms, and
so I guess we didn't really. Oh,
get knocked off of any of these, bridges or anything. It could be quite the time loss since you have to start at the beginning of the room.
So I guess we didn't explain how Aghanim really works. Aghanim, he has a cycle of 5 attacks. The first attack is always a guaranteed energy shot that you can reflect back at him. And attacks 2 through 4 is 50-50, whether he gives you an energy shot or a blue ball. And then the 5th attack is a lightning, and then the cycle keeps going until Aghanim's defeated. It takes 6 hits to defeat him. So if you don't miss any shots, then the max... if you don't miss any guaranteed shots, then the maximum amount of blue balls you can get is 15. But you have to be like super unlucky for that to happen.
Or just be Screw, I guess. I haven't been tracking Ares' blue balls just yet. I think he just started the fight.
Is that
one? That should be the first one. Yeah, g3rd0 walking into pod right now. He's going to pay off the monkey that we got all the rupees for.
Also, if you get hit when Kiki's following you, then you have to go find him again and pay 10 more rupees. So if you have like less than 120, that can be pretty scary. Is that 3?
It was 2 or 3. We'll find out. If he kills him on the first hit after this lightning, it was 3. Yeah, well, if it was 2, then he would have killed him in that last energy ball. So.
Okay, yeah, that was 3. All right, so we made up a little bit of time over g3rd0. This race is not over until it's over, so there's still like plenty more left to go for Eriror to make up time.
Yeah, absolutely. So g3rd0 is going to be coming up on another trick here pretty soon. Another big trick that we use to skip a big portion of this dungeon in the NMG run. It's going to be a bomb jump, and it's a very precise one. He's going to have to put a bomb down on a very specific Y axis, and then also put Link on a very specific Y axis. And then hopefully he will boost himself over the gap and into the railing so that he can grab the hammer from this dungeon without having to go downstairs and get an extra key and make his way through the dark maze and everything.
Yeah, this trick is very significant. Unfortunately, you get less rupees here, but he can get rupees somewhere else. At least that was like the old strat back before.
And as we mentioned before, he did get the fairy drop there, so he's not going to have that when it comes to Turtle Rock. So that's something we should keep an eye out on when it gets to the end game there.
As you can see, this skips having to go through this entire dark maze room.
Yeah, other than getting the fairy on the bridge there, that was a really well executed hammer jump.
It's the hardest bomb jump in the run.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because since the bridge is falling at the same time, you're kind of on a timer. There's also a pretty tricky one in Ice Palace, but you can take as long as you want on that. Nice, sexy statue from g3rd0.
That was very good.
Pretty.
Also, conserving your hearts throughout this dungeon is good. So, oh no, so that you can, because the boss Helmasaur King of this dungeon does a lot of damage to you if you're not careful enough. If things go wrong.
Yeah, Helma can definitely hit hard, and this is You know, it's the first Dark World boss, but it's absolutely one of the scariest because we're actually so low on health here, just by the nature of it being the first Dark World dungeon that we go into. So
yeah, this is like I've lost the most amount of runs to this boss out of like any other section in this game.
Yeah, for sure. So Helmasaur himself is going to require 17 hammer hits to the face to break his mask off. And from that point on, you can either slash him 8 times, I believe, with the Master Sword, or you can hammer him in a very precise spot on his face 3 times and also finish him off with a spin. So g3rd0 is getting some fireballs here. Whether he gets a fireball here is 50-50 during this phase. And I think...
Nice.
Once he gets to the second phase, it's also
what 50/50. He did there is, as Helmasaur was is shooting out his fireball, when the mask breaks, it turns into like a million different sprites, and those like overwrite the fireball.
Yeah, so that was very well handled by him to be patient enough to wait to break the mask to despawn those fireballs, and then he gets through the second phase rather cleanly. You know, only taking 2 hearts of damage there, being down after that was a pretty nice fight. Alright, I didn't actually catch Ares' bomb jump, but I assume it went relatively well since he's not down any additional hearts and only had to grab 1 there. So he's going to be coming into the Mimics room now. Mimics are very, very interesting enemies in this game in that you can manipulate their movement by moving Link. And so there are some really, really cool strats that have been developed to kill Mimics in the fastest way, and often it involves manipulating their movement during, you know, bow animations or while Link is walking or slashing or any of these things. So some really cool rooms to watch. We'll see a few more of those in Ganon's Tower at the end.
There's a chance where these ropers can actually hit you for like no reason. And thankfully none of them happen to g3rd0.
Yeah, you can get what we call the lottery there, or lose the lottery, I guess I should say. Ooh, ouch. Oh. Yeah, g3rd0 was, he was trying to start his dash as high up as he could, because in this game, you want to keep Link dashing on screens as long as possible, because obviously he's moving faster than just walking speed. So generally, if you're walking around a distance of, you know, 4 tiles or less, walking is probably okay, but anything over that, you should probably be dashing it. And you want to definitely maximize those dashes as much as possible. Eri in the Helma fight now, getting some fireballs immediately, but really navigating them well, though. That was that's super tough to do. You have your sword out, so you're moving a lot slower, and then there's all this lag that gets generated from the fireballs, but man, he handled that like a pro. And
they're both through.
Phase 2, yep. Past the Helma barrier, one of the gatekeepers for sure.
So it's technically fast, so you can technically skip this cutscene that on g3rd0's screen, but it's not faster because you have to be in the light world anyway.
Yeah, that's something that's kind of utilized in other categories. It's always nice to be able to skip that cutscene, but unfortunately we don't do that in this category. Coming up on the swag duck here. g3rd0 is going to gain a little bit of time on Eri here because Eri is going to be grabbing the powder once he gets to this point. He's going to fly off to the witch's hut and exchange his mushroom for a bag of powder. But g3rd0 is just going to truck straight on through into Thieves' Town.
And you notice that he's using the flutes on the side of the statue, and that's so that the bird can leave the screen faster.
Yep, exactly, and you saw that he was also slashing his sword during that cutscene and getting the spin speed state from that. It's a really cool strat. It can save anywhere from like 5 to 10 frames, so it's a very, very small thing, but it looks really cool. So something you'll see here from g3rd0 is an item dash. So you see that he just dashed while using the hammer there and was able to get right through that peg. That's a Japanese 1.0 version
Oh.
exclusive glitch. And it's really cool tech that we use throughout the run.
Oh no!
A little bit of time. Oh wow, yeah, that damage is significant. Those guys hit like a truck. Fortunately, though, there is a really good spot that Eri can grab some hearts before he gets to Thieves Town. All he has to do is bonk into a tree and collect some apples, and he should be good to go. I'm pretty sure he knows about that.
Oh wow. Man, lots of unfortunate things happening everywhere.
Enchan just does not like bad RNG. Like, I'm pretty sure you're allergic to it, and it makes you sick to your stomach. Bad RNG. But yeah, it can be really painful to watch these runners get trolled. But you know, most of these guys are good enough to handle it and you know, recover, and then make sure they finish out strong.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that this game has little bits of luck everywhere that usually aren't in your control, but there are strats around every like different like ways. Like if enemies like do different patterns that than usual, then there are usually ways around it. Still a little bit of time lost though.
This is just one source of RNG, which is the Hellway, is what we call it as g3rd0 makes his way through there. It looked like he got maybe the right RNG to dash straight up through. There's one exact pixel that you can hit and actually dash straight up through. And as long as you get good RNG, you won't get hit by any enemies on your way through, and you can just dash on by. But unfortunately, g3rd0 not having that pleasant experience. Oh no! Now we no!
Oh no!
Don't kill yourself. Please
okay.
Don't kill yourself.
Yeah,
so you wouldn't think
he's
those
still not out of it yet. I mean,
yeah, you wouldn't think those grasshoppers do as much damage as they do, but they do 2 hearts apiece. And then he hit himself with his own bomb there because the grasshoppers did hit you, and yeah, they're definitely one of the more trolly enemies in this game. But I think
man, that thing almost ran into him.
As long as he makes it down to the prison, shout outs to that menu buffer, by the way. That's a really good one to judge the RNG. That's kind of one of the things that you can do to mitigate RNG is using pause buffers to see what enemies are doing. I don't know if that's a safety bomb. He probably just does the double bomb strat in Ice Palace, which you would need an extra one for. So usually want to leave things down with 6. But yeah, he's picking up some hearts in the prison here.
Okay. So the maiden runs really fast.
I think he's gonna be okay.
So when you rescue the maiden says it tells you to take her out of the dungeon, but when you try to actually take her out of the dungeon, she just says, "I don't want to go there." So it's a little bit weird. Like, does she want to get killed or something in a dungeon?
Wow, that dash cancel on the jelly by g3rd0, I thought he was going to get shocked, but then I think the electrified frames ran out as soon as he poked it. So, all right, so g3rd0 is going to be rolling into the blind fight here, grabbing an extra heart to keep himself safe. This is a scripted fight. It's mostly about putting Link in the right spot at the right time and just letting blind do most of the work and just run into your sword. So
yeah, this fight is absolutely not random.
Looks like he's executing very well so far, very clean. You want to make sure you're killing blind in very specific spots at the end of each phase. Nice clean fight there. Eri really not that far behind. He does have to get through the rest of this dungeon, but nothing, you know, a death to almost any one of the remaining Dark World bosses wouldn't even up immediately.
Yeah, he does have a powder, so if he ever takes too much damage, then there are a few chances in this dungeon for a fairy. Alright, so this hallway right here is called the Hellway because it is hell.
Oh, no.
That would have been really good.
Yeah, he had the pixel. He had the god pixel, but yeah, he just got bad RNG.
Yeah, that's nothing in your control at all.
There is a pretty good method of being able to hit that pixel. As long as you don't move out of the doorway and you just start a dash, you'll be able to stop on a good frame to where you're actually exactly on that pixel. So that's kind of the setup that is used to do it. But again, from there it's just RNG after you hit it.
So fun fact about this chest, if you don't have the boomerang, if you didn't get the boomerang in Hyrule Castle, then that is actually a red boomerang. And I guess the reason for that is the game doesn't want you to miss any items at all, because you can't go back to Hyrule Castle once you go through it. But since we already have the boomerang, that's instead a 300 rupee chest.
Yep, so he'll be grabbing those 300 rupees as well as another 300 rupee chest in the village here, which is going to give him enough to purchase the flippers from Zora after he gets through Skullwoods. So g3rd0 is tempering his sword. Eri is making his way through the prison to rescue the maiden. I would imagine he's going to powder this bunny beam that's under the pot right here to restore his health. He's not. Okay, very bold. He's very confident in the rest of his Thieves Town, not even picking up any heart pots. Just going to roll with his 3 hearts and call it good.
So you're noticing these mirror transitions sometimes. Well, for some of them, I don't think we've seen all of them yet, but for some of them, like these mirror transitions to go by really fast. And I guess you want to go ahead and explain that?
Yeah, sure. So what we call those is a quick warp, and it shortens the regular warp animation that you get when you go between worlds by 34 frames. So more than half a second, which is pretty significant. It has to do with the camera being on a specific alignment in the x-axis, and so when you warp between worlds and you have the camera aligned appropriately, there are 2 good pixels that work for quick warps out of every 8 on horizontally scrolling screens. So if you can find the right lineups for those, and actually using the practice hack for this game, which is an invaluable resource in learning and practicing this game, you can actually turn on an indicator that shows you if you actually have the quick warp position or not. So kind of a small thing, but there are a bunch of them throughout the game, so it does add up. g3rd0 is in the worst room in the game right now.
That was
Gets
very
out
nice.
cleanly though, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
But
sometimes
then,
that mummy can get in your way, and there's really nothing you can do about that.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
yeah.
He just takes up residence there, and yeah, you can dash through him, but even after that, the way that mummies take knockback isn't really consistent. So sometimes he can aggro on you really fast after you dash through him and still hit you. So g3rd0 about to do another bomb jump here using the spin technique, which is really cool.
Yeah, this one's the easiest bomb jump because you lose the least amount of time, so it's definitely worth going for. Otherwise, the normal way around getting that fire rod is by entering that hole in those 9 bushes.
Give me that fairy! Give me that fairy! I want the fairy! Give me the fairy!
Is he
Really
gonna?
want it. I thought he
I
might pull out the boomerang or something and try to grab it, but yeah, he didn't want to waste that much time waiting around. So
yeah,
he's just gonna go ahead and finish out this dungeon.
But anyway, the normal way is by falling into the hole in those 3x3 bushes and go into a different room and to get that fire rod. But of course, with the bomb jump, that saves having to do that, so it's a lot. Now we're on to the actual part of Skullwoods, and we're coming up to another scary boss called Mothula.
Yeah, he's scary for one particular reason, in that he is coded in such a way that he does not take damage from class 4 items, which includes the spikes that he's surrounded with. So if you happen to slash Mothula and he hits a spike afterwards, he registers as taking 0 damage. So it can be a particularly frustrating fight, but luckily there are some pretty good strats to try to finish it off quickly. You see g3rd0 dashing into the block behind Moth, try to get a double hit, and then finishing out the slashes. That was a really good fight. One of the important things you want to do is, if you let Mothula...
dash!
Nice, dude. Good call. Good call. I totally missed it. That's a very important frame saver right there. Good stuff, Eri. But one of the other things about Mothula is that if you let him fly around for too long, he's going to start shooting out beams at you. But what you can do is actually hit him in any sort of way. He doesn't actually have to take damage, but just actually hit him to actually cancel his attack and that can make the fight just a little bit easier. But with the moth fight, you really you want to get it over quickly. Another bush fairy. But Eri is only 1 heart down. He doesn't need that. But yeah, Mothula can definitely be a frustrating fight for sure, but g3rd0 makes it through nicely. Now Eri is in the worst room in the game, and now you're starting to see why I call it that.
Yeah, this room is.
Oh no! That was so close. Okay. He got caught by that hand. He was gonna have to do that room over.
Yeah. Yeah. Not only those mummies are a pain, but if you spend too long in that room, that wall master can grab you. Wall masters are everyone's least favorite enemy in pretty much the entire Zelda franchise.
They're one of the most painful ones to interact with, that's for sure. But you don't see them very much in this.
Yeah, in this game you don't.
Yeah. All right, so g3rd0 is now onto the Ice Palace segment. He's going to be picking up Quake and Flippers before heading on to Ice.
Yeah. So again, that Ropa that you dash through has a chance of hitting you, but thankfully that didn't happen. And that's good because you want to have full hearts coming into Ice Palace, because there's some strats where you want beams for, and there's some rooms where you want to take intentional damage.
Yep, absolutely correct. You saw g3rd0 bonking on that wall there. What that does is just sets him up for another quick warp, which saves him about half a second. When you interrupt the catfish cutscene like that, it sets the camera up perfectly for a quick warp. So Eri going through the mummy hellway right now. Nice item dash out. Gives you a little bit of time to react to that mini Moldon there. Slices the vines open. Now going to dash up here. Hit this mummy into the spike so that he takes more damage. Oh wow!
Oh man! Oh, okay.
One of the things
he does not pick up the heart.
One of the things about this game, it's almost a law, is that if you try to farm a heart, you're almost certainly going to either lose one or more.
Lose more hearts than you would get.
Yo, nice poke dash though.
Oh,
okay,
come on!
Nice.
Okay, he's through.
Very well handled.
This is why Sankar pays off.
Yeah, for sure. Sankar is the best safety. Keep it forever.
Otherwise, that would have been a death right there.
But yeah, very nicely handled, going for that poke dash there, which actually does register the same damage as a slash, so that can be a good way to try to finish off that fight. Alright, g3rd0, another free quick warp there by walking into that warp from the left. Rolling into Ice Palace.
This is my favorite dungeon.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very tough dungeon. It's not easy at all.
Yeah.
Ice 2 is definitely one of those rooms. any room actually with ice physics on it can be very, very tough to navigate. Luckily, there are some mechanics that we can kind of abuse with movement to help us slide along the ice a little bit better in a slightly more controlled manner. So you'll see a little bit of that coming up here later on in the dungeon.
So there's an item that you can get here in this dungeon called the Blue Mail, which reduces your the damage that you take by 25%. But obviously, we don't need it, so we don't pick it up, and it's too far out of the way for it to be worth it.
Yeah, Ice Palace is just a pain to navigate. If you've ever played this game casually, it requires a ton of backtracking. So g3rd0 right now is about to do a trick that is going to let him skip having to do a ton of that backtracking.
What route is Eriror doing?
Looks like he's just grabbing Ether and Ice Rod right now. I think he just does it before Ice Palace.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen this route for a while.
Yeah. It doesn't really matter too much where you grab those items, but g3rd0, just executing that bomb jump there, you saw that he got past that gap while the pegs are still up, and that's what's going to allow him to actually finish up this dungeon much faster.
This saves 10 minutes. Or, no, 5 minutes, because dungeon usually takes 10 minutes to go through. Oh, gosh.
I was going to say, 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's about a 5-minute time.
Really good strat.
yeah.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
Harry was, he killed a bunch of crabs there. I was hoping he'd get a hard drop, but he didn't. So he's going to be a hard down going into Ice Palace.
Yeah, so normally you need the hook shot in order to get to this dungeon, but obviously...
No, g3rd0! He just got Andy blocked!
Okay.
He needs to go upstairs to fix it. I think he knows. So what happened there is he got a kind of a little bit of a glitch state with the block there, to where as he was pushing it, it hit the switch and re-hit it to close the door, and he didn't actually get off the switch fast enough in order to actually get through the door.
Man, he's not going. Okay, well,
it actually,
I was about to say it gives him chances to get a fairy, but he's not going.
It does work if you just push down straight through that, but usually you want to make sure that you're completely out of the block before it actually lands on that switch, where you can get that glitch state. So a little unfortunate. It's going to lose him a little bit of time, but luckily he knew how to repair it, which is not mirroring out of the dungeon. It's just going upstairs. So rolling into the cold stair fight here. This fight can be really scary. The puffs do 4 hearts of damage. The falling ice does 2. Looks like g3rd0's doing the double poke strat.
Whoa! Oh, he missed! Oh, can he... Okay, wait.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Over.
He's got it.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, that strat can be really scary if one of those puffs leaks out and starts charging you, because their movement can be highly unpredictable. So.
Yeah, and if you die against Cold Stare, then you have to do pretty much the whole dungeon. So that is like, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes loss, something like that, something huge.
Yeah, I want to say something like 4 minutes.
So yeah, it's a scary boss for that matter. The reason Cold Stare does a lot of damage is because, again, the game expects you to get blue mail at this point in the game. Okay, Eriror getting the finger webs, as it's called in the Japanese version. Okay, so now we're going to heading into our second Dark World dungeon. We're actually doing these dungeons out of order. It's not the game's intended order because it saves a significant amount of time. Especially like doing Thieves Town as your second Dark World dungeon, you have the ability to get the Tempered Sword, which isn't needed to beat the game, but it's definitely a lot faster. So this trick right here, if you just press Y as you move in the block, then it disappears.
Yeah, just make sure you're not in a dungeon when you try that trick. Otherwise you will just mirror out.
Cool things happen.
As long as you are in a non-dungeon cave, you're good to use that trick. That's another Japanese 1.0 exclusive one. So, all right, so
takes a lot of effort to be good at that trick.
All right, g3rd0 rolling into Swamp here. Coming up on your favorite room, M-Chan. Nice.
He gets it.
Gets
that's
the
a cool strat.
Straight dash through all 3 of those water tektites. You got to get some good RNG for that, but he gets it, nails the strat, nicely done.
So Swamp Palace is, it's really tough to do fast. Not in a way where like you're not gonna die, but there's a lot of like little bits of stuff in Swamp Palace, like movement, enemy patterns, and they all add up to like a bunch of time losses if they go wrong.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well said. It's it's just a bunch of little movement stuff, including dashing in the correct direction and not at the wall. I've definitely had those phantom D-pad inputs every once in a while, so I'm not going to judge at all. But yeah, just like you said, there's little bits of RNG everywhere, and there's very, very small movement things in pretty much every single one of these rooms that has to be done really well. You're maximizing dashes everywhere, avoiding all of these enemies that are flying
Enemies.
Enemies. All right, Alright, so Eri finishing up Ice Palace here. In the Lonely Fire.
Going through the Fire Snake there. The Fire Snake's hitbox is only the front of it and not like anywhere else.
Yep.
Which is not how he was able to go through it just fine.
And you saw Eri going through that Lonely Fire Bar room where he's kind of demonstrating some of that ice sliding movement. If you're using a Y item or your sword, or even a dash, and you're holding a diagonal, Link will get boosted pretty quickly in whatever diagonal you're holding. So Eri going to be falling into the cold stare fight here. He's got decent health. He can take at least one hit from one of the puffs.
So if g3rd0 didn't hit that switch again, that would have been a shortcut back to this room, but that would not be useful because then that means you can't get the big key that he's going ahead to right now.
Yo, nice 6-slash coming out of Eri, finishing up the cold stare fight nicely. Gonna be getting out of Ice Palace. He's already got Ether and Ice Rod, so he's just gonna be heading straight to Swamp from here and then Mire after that, I'm pretty sure.
Also, there's something called splash lag, where it's pretty like similar to stair lag. If you are mashing like as you're jumping into the water, then there's like this little lag animation. So you want to mash like after Link's splashing in the water to optimize your swimming movement.
Yeah, that's a small thing. That can be kind of hard to notice unless you've played this game a lot. Swimming is just weird in general how it works. It's kind of an acceleration-based system, and you know, as M-Chan was correctly explaining, you get a little bit of lag if you start swimming a little bit too early. But if you wait until Link is at his full speed, then you don't get that at all and can just continue swimming at that full speed for at least a few swims. Oh, nice. Eri killed that Octorok you see before he walks into this warp, and actually that's going to save him somewhere like between 15 and 18 lag frames, something ridiculous like that on this screen. It's really weird how this game works with that sometimes. Like if you just defeat one or two enemies in a room that is on the same quadrant as that screen, and you can oftentimes save a little bit of lag just because that enemy isn't there anymore. Okay, so g3rd0 is going to be on the Argus fight coming up here. I'm pretty sure he's going to be going for the 0-cycle strats. He's definitely a top runner. I know he has practiced this strat quite a bit. Starts out hooking from the bottom, so this involves doing an item dash to get Link into this glitch state, and then re-hooking.
So close. Oh man.
Very specific time, but just missed one of them there. Barely missing the 0-cycle, but still gets a 1-cycle without Argus moving, and the fire.
Very nice
kill. So good Argus kill overall there. Giddy up, says Meltsky. All right, so Eri is about the full length of this dungeon behind, but it's a little bit less than that because g3rd0 is going to be going to retrieve the Ether and Ice Rod after this segment, and then going to be heading on to Mire. So probably going to be, I think it's about 1:40 or something like that to collect those items. So
also, this made him talks a lot.
Yep, this is definitely the longest cutscene from the Crystal Catch in this game, clocking in at 55 seconds, almost a full minute of dialogue and lore here. I think she just talks about how to use the warps between the light and the dark world, which we've already been doing for well over an hour. We're like, we get it, okay? We understand. Just let us go, please. We want to save the world. To answer the question in chat, the Fire Rod quick kill is only about a second considering the extra menu. So, and that, assumes you obviously get the quick kill. If you miss it, then it's just as bad. Actually, it's worse than doing the normal 2 spins to kill the second phase, because you now have that additional menu that you have to factor in. So g3rd0 doing kind of a little cool trick there. What he did was he was holding his sword out while he did an item dash, which is just pressing A and Y at the same time, which allowed him to shoot up those stairs, that ladder, very, very quickly. Having the hook shot during this segment can save you a little bit of time. It's pretty insignificant though. It's about half a second, overall, considering everything. So not a huge difference, but definitely a cool trick to see.
And also, that's another way to get super speed is you just hook dash on a set of stairs or ladder. Then it works just like spin speed, except easier.
Yep, exactly right.
And actually, that was the old method of getting super speed before we found that we could spin attack to get it.
Yeah, it works with medallions as well. So if you item dash with Quake, as we may see when people are opening up T-Rock, that also puts you into that glitch state. So this game is just cool like that.
So thankfully, g3rd0 now has kept his hearts, so he's going to head into Misery Mire with full hearts, which is good for a really cool strat coming up.
Yeah, exactly. In the second room of Mire here, after he gets the dungeon open, he's going to be using his beams to quickly kill off the Wizardobes. They're going to be in that second room, and he wants to do that in a way to where the Wizardobes are not going to respawn again, because having to wait for that wastes a lot of time. So, yeah, having beams there is really nice. There is a backup to where you can use the Fire Rod. And it's not really that much slower at all, but having beams is just nice overall, because you wanna have a solid amount of health going through this dungeon.
Yeah, this is my least favorite dungeon in the whole game.
We're seeing the Mire 2 strat here right now, executed
very good.
Beautifully by g3rd0. Very nice. Gets through that one cycle, cleans up the popos, and he's out of there. Eri sitting at a cool 3 hearts here, going into the end of Swamp. He's going to be coming up on the refill room here, which has a heart, 2 hearts actually, I'm sorry, a bomb, and 5 arrows. He only needs the arrows and the hearts, so I'm just going to grab those and get out of there and be rolling into the Argus fight. I don't think he goes for 0 cycle. I think he's just going to play it pretty safe and go for the standard hook and slash, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The 0 cycle itself, saves maybe like 6 or 7 seconds, so that's really all he would be losing out on there. But yep, looks like he's just going to go for the standard strat here. It's probably a good call considering what his health is sitting at.
So here's a really cool strat right here. If you move the block if you use an item while moving a block, then the item like goes through the block. So that's how he's able to shoot the fire rod through that block in order to light the torches easier.
Nice. Harry cleaning up the Argus fight. And yeah, it's kind of cool how that block push thing works. It actually, I think as the block is moving, it's a separate sprite that it gets coded as, and it's like basically just an invisible enemy or something, and you can just shoot things through it. So you'll see us using the fire rod, and also later on in G-Tower you'll see us use the hook shot to go through a block as you're pushing it. So some kind of cool tech there that this game allows.
So it's good that g3rd0 is doing a good job at managing his hearts, because at this point the game does expect you to have red mail or blue mail, so the enemies do quite a lot of damage. These lasers and the Wizardobes do 4 hearts of damage.
Yeah, and especially considering that right here in this room he's going to be intentionally taking damage from these spikes so he can get to this switch and then grab the key out of this chest. So he takes the appropriate amount of damage there, which is just 3 hearts. Which is really not a lot at all. The boss fight.
He's getting the safety heart.
Yeah, I think he'll be pretty comfortable with this amount of health, and even much lower in this, because he's going to do, I'm assuming, the WQ Vidi strat, which, if done really well, if the movement is done properly, you only take 4 hearts of damage from it, and you use 3 spins, and then finish off the other eyeballs with either some more slashes or some arrows, whatever your fancy. So I'm pretty sure g3rd0 will be fine with this amount of health. Looks like Eri's going to be rolling into Mire here right now. That bird is really far away, so I would not expect that to get tossed.
Yeah, that bird actually does 3 hearts of damage, which is bad for entering, like, especially like it's right before you enter the dungeon.
You saw a small thing there with g3rd0 using his last bomb, which automatically switched him over to the fire rod so that he was able to hit the crystal switch without having to actually walk over there. Saves a few frames, kind of a cool thing that's built into the item routing for this run.
Yeah, if we're going for that strat, then it makes the bomb route somewhat tight in a way, but it's definitely not a huge thing.
Alright, let's see how this Vidi fight goes. Very well executed strat so far.
Oh.
Takes the appropriate amount of damage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One of the eyeballs was too far away for him to actually be able to finish it off with slashes. Menus to Quake, because why not? I think that was just a miss menu. He probably meant to change to mirror there, because that's going to be obviously the next item he wants, but really, really good fight there. The optimal version looks a lot like that, except Vidi doesn't shoot out any lightning, and g3rd0 just barely missed it there, so still a really solid fight. Eri's going to be coming up on the Mire torches here, so check out what his time is here.
So the risky thing about doing the strat that g3rd0 just did is that if any of the eyeballs get you, they do 4 hearts of damage. So any mistake in that fight could potentially lead to death if things go really bad.
Yeah, exactly. And those eyeballs can be some straight up ninjas too. Alright, so Eri collecting the big key in Mire here, and despite what g3rd0 tells you, that is actually required to finish off the dungeon and get the Canis of Maria, so Eri doing well with the item routing. g3rd0 is going to be heading into Turtle Rock now, and so this is where we have talked about the prize pack manipulation coming into play. And so what happened earlier on was that all of the enemies in this game have very particular drops that they're set to, and the enemies are grouped together in what we call prize packs. And as you kill enemies in that pack, it advances sequentially through it until you go through the entire list of drops, and then it just loops back over. And for most of those prize packs, the drop rate is 50-50. And so what we saw happen with g3rd0 and Agatar was he ended up killing one of the guards with either a slash or a spin or something, and it ended up dropping a heart. And then when he got to the mini Helma in Pod, which is also in the same prize pack, and killed him, he ended up getting the fairy, which is the next drop after the heart. Typically what we want to do in Agatar is kill those guards with a dash, which sets the drop rate to 0. And make sure that we don't advance the prize pack before we get to Turtle Rock, which is where we want to see those heart and fairy and full magic drops show up. So unfortunately, g3rd0's already passed that, and he has taken a little bit of damage in the overworld. And he's probably going to do a strat here in the roller room coming up to where he intentionally takes damage off of the roller to give himself iframes to be able to go through the bottom one. So he's going to have to be really good about maintaining his health here throughout.
What you're seeing on Error right there is a good reason why Powder is very useful, so that he can have more hearts to deal with on Vitreous. And here's some cool strats to the hook shot. You can't get hit during the hook shot animation, so he uses the hook shot as the roller is coming to him. Okay, so it looks like I'd say that's actually a really smart move to mirror out of the rollers there, as opposed to doing the strat that I was talking about. He has taken, like I said, a little bit of damage already. I think he's aware of the fact that he's not getting the fairy drop, so very smartly and with a lot of awareness as to what's going on in the race, understanding that and mirroring out to maintain his health there. Very smart. This room is terrible because these chomps are random.
What is that chomp doing?
Oh no!
What is that chomp? That chomp sat on top of that chest for like the entire duration. He barely moved at all. And so yeah, that's just some really bad RNG there. That
Yeah,
I think g3rd0 handled it just about as well as he could have. So
yeah, there wasn't much you could do about it. You can go safe in that room, but even then, there's still chances. There's always a chance where those chomps can really wreck you, no matter how safe you play it.
Yeah, but you saw the strat he was intending to do there was actually get iframes by standing on top of those pegs as they went up. And it gives you a little bit of a period where you'll have those iframes and you just walk through the chomps without any fear of getting hit. But fortunately, those iframes ran out and the chomps were just in a really bad spot. So, all right, so Eri now in the T-Rock overworld. Gonna do a quick hook speed here. Ooh, nice. He did the sword climb. He's going for the Waffle House drive-through. Oh no!
Oh, man, that would have been really good.
Dude, that was looking so good.
Was he trying it again?
Yeah, he's going for it again.
Oh,
knocking the squirrels out of the way with the hook shot. What a beast. Major props for even going for that. I've been seeing that a lot in the tournament, and I love it. I love seeing that.
So there's 16 different patterns in that room, and usually runners like to try and figure out what all 16 of those patterns are, because there's different strats for each of them.
Yeah, for the double pokey room that g3rd0 exited not too long ago. Yeah, there are 16 patterns. Usually they are practiced individually because you have to handle each of them in a slightly different way. But luckily, the wonderful practice hack that I've already mentioned actually has RNG control on it to where you can set it to any of those 16 patterns and practice them at your leisure. So very cool stuff with the practice hack. I highly recommend if you have any interest in running or learning this game to download and utilize it. All right, so g3rd0 coming up on the laser skip there. He's got 4.5 hearts, so he can take a hit from the laser, but really doesn't want to. Yeah, gets through there nicely, maintaining his health.
There's a safe strat in if he kept going down where he can bomb a wall on the bottom and leave the dungeon and come back, and it sets a checkpoint so that if you die, you don't have to do the whole dungeon all over again.
Yeah, I wouldn't even have blamed him if he did that, because dying at this point would absolutely be a game changer for this race.
Okay, so I know how hard this boss is, so...
Do you? Tell us a story. But yeah, it looks like g3rd0 doing the backdoor strat here on Trinex. Misses one of his shots, but lands another one quickly. Finishes up both the heads, yeah, with the appropriate amount of magic remaining. It's really easy. Once the fight, like if you get that ice head to shoot, you know, any ice on the floor, the fight can get squirrely really, really fast, especially if you start missing any of your shots and running out of magic. So yeah, definitely can be a rough fight. I'm pretty sure I've done that in either a community race or a tourney race too, so don't feel too bad, Jen. Yo, Eri making it through chomps really nicely, utilizing those iframes, and the chomps were a lot friendlier to him, that's for sure.
We finally saved Zelda after so long.
But she's still in the crystal. Is she okay in there? Like, is she getting enough air? I mean, she's talking to you, so presumably she's fine, right?
Hopefully.
Alright, so g3rd0 has finished collecting all of the crystals. We finally rescued Zelda, as Enchan pointed out. We are now going to be heading into the best tower of the game, the best dungeon, Ganon's Tower. Lots of really high-intensity, fast-paced rooms. Really no downtime at all in the dungeon, so it's a real joy to watch when it is well executed. See g3rd0 doing a really, really small thing there. He canceled his dash so that he was at least a pixel below Ganon's Tower there instead of actually rubbing up against it. And that's going to save him about 1/3 of a second during this cutscene in lag frames. So kind of a cool thing that's relatively new, like one of the newer things, I guess, in this run that people have started working in, because it's basically a free time save. So.
Okay, really good pokies for air. Oh, okay. That roller does 3 hearts of damage. So it's a good thing that it didn't get him. So Ganon's tower. There's a lot of things going on in Ganon's tower. There's no room in Ganon's tower where you can sleep on at all.
Yeah, exactly. Just tons of execution, non-stop, really no rest period whatsoever. You even see here in this room that uses the boomerang and the hook. One of the coolest strats, I think, in the game. You have to be really quick after you throw that boomerang to change to the hook shot, and then hook shot over to that pot so that the boomerang hits the switch. And you got to do it in such a way so it doesn't actually hit the crystal switch twice, and you don't actually get yourself stuck in between those pegs.
There's actually a few places in Ganon's tower where... Oh! Okay. Okay, he should still be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a few places where... Oh, no. Okay, so what he tried to do there was he tried to align himself in a way where he can actually bonk over that warp tile, but he went a little bit too high.
Yeah, that's one reason I really like buffering to bombs there. Shout out to Joe D'Amelio. Is to make sure that you don't walk into that warp, especially when you don't need the arrows. It's a really bad feeling. Alright, so g3rd0 is going to be falling into the first Light World boss refight, Armos, but on ice, while Eri is finishing up Trinex on the right over here.
This fight's a little bit harder than the first time, especially in this category. There's an item called the Silver Arrows, which we don't get because it's kind of far out of the way at this point. But it makes this fight a heck of a lot easier with it.
Yeah, but g3rd0 making it look really easy there with the regular arrows.
Very nice.
Also finishing up Trinex, yeah. Good stuff. Alright, so now we're coming up on some of the best rooms in G Tower, the Mimics rooms, as I was talking about in Palace of Darkness earlier. So g3rd0 is going to manipulate these Mimics with 3 slashes and then re-slash his sword to fire them down while he's moving left into that ledge to manipulate the Mimics movement.
Alright, that was
similar thing good. In the second one. Both very good Mimics rooms, yep. And this room here is also very tough. If you have any bad movement, like starting your dash just a little bit late right there after he did after the crystal is what got him hit there. It's just that one tiny mistake, and you know you're probably going to get hit by a spike. Your movement in that room has to be really clean to get through it. All right, going for GBZ, and he gets it. Nice, dude. So that can be pretty tough. There's again 32 cannonball RNGs based on which frame you enter the room at. They kind of fall into a few different categories of how you can handle them, but being able to read and react to that quickly is very tough, and to get that strat is very cool.
Yeah, I do a strat where I just intentionally fall in the pit so I can have iframes to dash through the cannonball. It's I don't know. To me, I find it really hard to memorize all the cannonball patterns, so I just do the safe method.
That can be valid for sure if you just don't want to deal with it. It's only faster, actually, in one of the RNGs, I think. So a good strat really is just walking, and it's really not that much slower. Just walking and dodging the cannonballs. So g3rd0 had a really solid gauntlet there. That's what we call those 5 rooms there, where you have to eliminate all the enemies before you can actually move on. And then getting through the land mode refight there really nicely.
Yeah, with the fire, it takes 2 fire rod shots or 2 ice rod shots to defeat each of the land mollas.
Ice rod, huh?
Yeah, you can get ice. Yeah, like if you're playing this game casually, you can get ice rod.
Will you do that? Will you do that in your next run?
No, ice rod hitbox is terrible.
All right then.
But there's a casual strat that people do where they get ice rod before Desert Palace, and then they make land mollas look really easy.
Alright, this torch room is deceptively difficult. We've seen some people struggling with it and falling off and having to go and relight all the torches and stuff, and it can be a little bit scary, but g3rd0 makes it through there cleanly and easily, going through the second torch room now.
Oh, you just
lighting,
okay, that's fine. There's a magic refill after this.
Yeah, he's not really worried about his magic unless he ran out on those.
Yeah, if he ran
themselves.
out, then he would have to go find magic. Either that or basically, I think the better way is to mirror, right?
There may have been a few places he could have potentially farmed, but yeah, other than that, it's just probably mirroring and farming somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right, so now we have the Moldorm refights.
You technically don't have to do this fight if you're really good at this game, but
well, if you're really good at hovering, yeah, you don't necessarily even have to be good at the game. I think there are people who are both. So.
But obviously, it's not something that most people will do unless they're like either on a bad run or they're just trying to be like cool.
All right, so now is time for the geometry quiz. The Aga-2 fight, where you have a real version of Aga and then 2 clones. The 2 clones will always fire energy balls, whereas Aga will rotate between an energy ball and then 2 50-50s between an energy and a blue ball, and then another energy. So nice fight from g3rd0, though. I think that was a 3 cycle.
There's no lightning attack for this fight, so it's not much to worry about.
Yeah, it's just the blue balls, which really are kind of important to keep track of because you really want to prioritize those energy shots from the clones, since you know you're always guaranteed to get those and can actually damage Aga with them. So if Aga does give you a blue ball and hits you, that can be kind of bad because it can mess you up for actually returning those energy balls and hitting them. So Eri, we saw there, just had a very small movement mistake again and got hit in that spike room. Very, very tough room for every level of runner to execute for sure. But g3rd0 in the Ganon fight now, gets the Trident spin, going to go in for the 1-1 here, gets a double spin at the bottom. It's going to be dashing inside the circle, going to dash 3 times, do another double spin at the bottom, 1 more dash, and he is good. He's going to dodge these bats here. He knows what pattern the bats are going to be in because he knows that his Ice Armos fight went well. There's a rotational variable in the game that controls that, so the fire bat patterns, as long as you have a good Ice Armos fight, are predictable.
So the game expects you to. So again, the game expects you to have silver arrows at this point. So, but since they're far out of the way, we do this particular strat right here.
All right, so g3rd0 going to be going for the torch glitch here. He relights the left torch before the right one has a chance to go out, and now he only has to worry about relighting that bottom left one. He's going to need 12 spins here to finish Ganon off. He's going to be trying to time his torches so that he lights the torch as soon as Ganon lands. He's going to be trying to get 3 hits on every single phase here. 3 nice ones right there. Lighting the torch at the bottom, re-slashing, very nice. This is a good phase 4 so far.
These are 2-frame windows for all these spin attacks.
It's more than 2 frames. It's dependent upon when you, like if you light the torch as soon as he lands, you have a big window of frames. If you light really late after he lands, you have a small window of frames. So it kind of, it's kind of like an accordion thing that depends on that.
Okay, so, very good fight.
Yep, GG to g3rd0, finishing off Ganon here. Looks like he's going to be rolling in with a mid 127. Very good time for a race.
Yeah, I didn't see any major mistakes in his run at all, so that was really good.
Yep, really solid. 127.47 by his timer. GG to g3rd0. Nice race, my dude.
Okay, meanwhile, Eriror is finishing. Got past the torches. He's about to grab his. He's about to bomb this last wall, and he has the last key, so he can just go through this room and fight Moldorm too. Refilling hearts again.
But yeah, this has been a really solid race. I mean, the gap between these runners was pretty significant, and for Eri to keep it as close as he has is very admirable. So. Oh yeah, that was he did a really good job in keeping it close, especially with Moldorm. Moldorm was probably like the major thing that happened with him, but other than that, like even with all that, he still kept it close. Yeah, part of this speed run is having a very strong mentality. You know, you have to stay calm and cool when bad stuff happens to you, And Eri, like, falling off multiple times after Moldorm, it would just be easy to tilt off the face of the planet and then just start messing up everywhere. But he has really come back in this run, and he's finishing strongly here. So everyone, let's root Eri on as he finishes up this run. He's going to be killing off Agatu here, and then going to kill the big blue pig.
And he has a lot of hearts, so he's able to survive Ganon very easily, assuming nothing bad goes wrong.
Yeah, he can be a little loose with his execution here. Obviously, if you hug Ganon, that's going to do 8 hearts of damage, and that's going to change the landscape of the fight just a little bit. So he's definitely going to be trying to go for the best fight here. Let's hope he doesn't get too trolled by warps or anything stupid like that. All right, let's go.
Yeah, it's on the 3rd phase. It is random how many times he warps. So let's hope that doesn't become the case.
All right, nice trident spin. Gets the bottom right RNG, so he's just going to be doing some slashes at the bottom here. He needs 12 hits on each of these phases in order to get Ganon to actually proceed to the next one. Uh-oh!
Woo! Okay.
He moved up a little bit before he hooked, so he ended up actually hooking the torch. But
he's taking too much damage!
Oh,
okay.
Man. That was going to be a really, really smart recovery, though. That was actually really smart of him to try and go for the dashes, because by doing that, he wasn't going to take any of the knockback from the slashes that he would otherwise get. Now he just needs to dodge a few fire bats.
Okay.
Nicely done, Eri. You got this, man. Hang in there.
2.
All right, so he's clear of all the fire now. I think after this point is when you can kind of
3.
settle down a little bit, and then just focus on hitting torch glitch, and then you're pretty good from there. And yeah, these are the random warps.
Okay,
basically
that's 6
a
so far.
50-50 each time as to whether or not he's going to warp. So, all right, gets the free spin here going into the torch glitch. Looks like he's going to pull out the lamp just to be super safe here. All right, there's 1. There's 2. He's going to wait Ganon out here. Switch over to the fire rod, baiting out the fire. Alright, so he's only going to be able to get 2 hits on this phase, because if you light after Ganon lands, he shoots that fire. And Eri is very aware of this, not even going to go for that 3rd spin. So very good awareness on his part, and it shows that he knows the fight really well. Nice, 3 hits in that lighting. Looks like he's going to get 2 more here. Gonna wait it out again. He lit a little bit late there, but still has a pretty good window to get the spin in. And there we go.
Nice.
Finished Ganon off very cleanly. Good stuff. GG to Eri. Well played, dude.
And to know it is possible to fall off during this fight, which means that you would have to do the entire fight all over again, which would be very bad.
Yeah, it sure is. I've definitely thrown away a PB doing that. If you stand a little bit too high during that cutscene, it's possible for you to not actually trigger the thing where Link holds his sword up, and you can actually do some inputs during that and walk straight off. So, I've definitely done that before. Would not recommend it, especially if you are about to PB. But very good race by both of these guys. They put on a great show. So let's hear all the GGs and grats for them. We are also joined in commentary right now for an interview with g3rd0. Yo, dude, GG, grats on the race.
What's up, man? Thanks.
Yo,
yeah,
really
good job.
Solid run for a race setting. Anytime you can get a sub 130, and especially a 127, that's a pretty good run. So how did you feel overall about the run itself?
Yeah, I think it was a pretty decent run. Like, the 5 blue balls were annoying, but whatever. I just am kind of annoyed that I got that strange glitch in Ice Palace where you push the block on the button, but the door just doesn't open.
Yeah, that
I
was
didn't really know what
very.
to do there, but I'm not
was
sure
very
if that was the
heads
optimal way.
Yeah, no, you handled it very well by just walking upstairs and fixing it that way, because the worst option in that case is definitely to mirror out and then go through the entire dungeon again. So pretty heads up to actually fix that. But yeah, that's a weird thing. I think if you just would have kept holding down you might have been okay, because I think that would have opened the door again. But yeah, it's just that weird thing where, like, Link touches the switch to open the door, and then the block lands on it to close it again. So yeah, really annoying glitch.
Yeah, something weird like that. But yeah, other than that, you didn't have very many. You didn't have like any major mistakes, I don't think. So that was like really good, especially in a tournament setting like this.
All right, looks like we are also joined by Eri here in commentary. Yodu, GG, Gratz, very nice run.
Thanks. Yeah, it was pretty okay, aside from Hera, but I can't complain about the rest.
Yeah, other than that, like that was a really good run. Like you aside from Moldorm, like you did everything else really well.
Well, 3 rupees, I guess, but
I was
pretty
that's
close to gold all the time. I haven't got 3 golds, so.
Yeah, but the thing I have to say about you is that you handled all of the adversity very well. You know, getting hit during 3 rupees, and then getting the backup, and then Hera falling all of those times on Moldorm, and then still staying in the game mentally and finishing strong. Big props to you, man, for doing that. I know that's definitely tough to deal with, especially when you're in a restreamed race setting. So GG, man.
Thanks. I can't say I wasn't tilted, but I mean, you have to keep going.
Yeah, and yeah, it's definitely much different like setting when you're like very much different mindset when you're doing like a marathon run like this. You two actually kept it really close with all the things that were going on on both of you guys' runs. Were you two aware of that?
I did have to restream on my phone, so I was kind of aware of where g3rd0 was. But aside from that, I didn't really try to keep it too much in mind. I tried to play my own race, especially considering Hera happened. And I know g3rd0 was just overall a better runner than me, so all I had to do was kind of hope that he would maybe mess up on a boss or do something, but otherwise I just had to do my best.
I wasn't watching the race, but I felt pretty comfortable most of the time because I was on clear sub 130 pace, and it was kind of my goal for this race too.
Yeah, and you achieved that.
Yeah.
Man, just barely missing that 0 cycle on Argus too. How did that make you feel?
Yeah, that annoyed me quite a bit as well. Like the last puff just didn't want to get hooked. I don't know.
That was really close though. Yeah, and then Eri, dude, going for the Waffle House drive-through.
Oh yeah, that was really good. Like you went for it twice, even failing it the first time.
And you almost got it too.
Yeah, that was really good.
At that point, you kind of have to make a show as well, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You know what's funny? Like, even considering that, I was only plus 4 seconds over my goal, so...
No kidding.
Wow!
My late game was actually going super well. I really can't complain.
Yeah.
Sweet, dude.
Even like in parts where like you took so much damage and you had to go like powder an anti-fairy in order to get more hearts, like everything else, like that was still like really good. Like oh gosh. Yeah, very good.
What's funny is that I didn't actually have to use powder in any situations that I wouldn't otherwise. Like I could always just free menu to it or something. I didn't have to powder into a rock. I could just drop bombs in Mission Mario and GT, so it all worked out.
Yeah,
so
I'm
pretty happy with overall execution. But I'm not. I don't dare drop powder yet because there will be one.
It's too good of a safety, especially for races.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that.
But yeah,
I remember
GG's, guys. Eri, I definitely have you on my PB watch list. I think you're definitely capable of cranking out a PB almost any time during this tournament, so definitely keeping my eye on you.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I'm about 3 minutes over my sum of best now, so it has to happen someday.
Yeah, and g3rd0, I'm definitely expecting big things out of you come bracket stage. I think you've got a pretty good chance of making it out of groups, so I hope you're excited to be in this tourney for a while.
Yep, definitely. My goal is kind of to get top 16 and then just see what happens from there.
Well, awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us for the post-race interview. Do you guys have any more races scheduled yet? Eri, do you have anything scheduled?
I have one tomorrow and one next week.
Oh, nice. What about you, g3rd0?
I've got one on the 4th of April, I think, against Shady Force, and the last one
Yeah,
isn't scheduled
nice.
yet.
Sweet. All right. Yeah, I think that is going to do it for this race, guys. We do have plenty more action coming up later on this evening. Probably going to be on Speed Gaming, one of the Speed Gaming channels for sure. We will have a double header going on actually at 8 p.m. Eastern. We got Cosmo versus Wolfie, and then we also have Jet versus DeSabin. That'll definitely be a great one to watch. And then we also have Blunt Bunny versus Ninnies, likely be taking place on another channel. We also have ACM versus Emo Saru, and then Space Cat versus Ben Teasy, which will wrap up the races for this evening. So plenty more action coming at you guys. Thanks for watching on Speed Gaming. Thanks as always to everyone that's been helping out with the tournament itself, and special shout outs to Speed Gaming as always for providing the platform that we're using to make this a success. So hope you guys are enjoying watching. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks to M-Chan for joining me on commentary today.
Yeah, and thanks and thank you to the Speed Gaming admins and the tournament staff for allowing myself and every other runner for giving us a chance to participate in this tournament.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us.
Yeah.
Thanks again for watching, and have a good day.
See you guys later.